everybody, it's Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make a witch's hat. It's size adjustable here, and it has some braids attached to it. Of course, you can always leave those off if you want. You saw my daughter there. So to size adjust this, all you need to know is the circumference of the head that you're making. So whether it be a baby or an adult, you need to know your head circumference. And then you can make it any size you want. You can make the brim bigger if you'd like. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick measurement. My daughter has a 20-inch head. So that's the size that fits her. Now, these braids are hot glued on. So you will need a hot glue gun if you decide to put braids. Or you can use regular hair or whatever, or leave them off. It's up to you. I guess you can sew them on if you want to, but in my personal experience, I can never get hot glue apart away from me. Whenever I put yarn and hot glue together, it never comes off. Okay, so the circumference of it before I put the brim on was about 19.5 inches. Like I said, my daughter has a 20-inch head, so I left a little bit room because I knew the brim would make it come out just a little bit, but I go over that in the video. The height of it, not counting the brim, I'm going to say is about probably 12 inches long. And that's for my daughter, that's 20-inch head. Now, it's very easy to make it for an adult or a child just by the head circumference. So that's it. Let me move it to the side. Remember, you don't have to put them braids on if you don't want to. That's just up to you if you want to. Okay, so the yarn I used is Red Heart Super Saver right here. I don't have the tag for it, but Red Heart Super Saver, if you're familiar with it, it's a medium 4-weight 100% acrylic yarn. So this is just black. Now it's it requires you to use 2 strands at once. So I pulled one from the center and one from the outside, and then I crocheted like that. And this is what I had left. So to make the hat my size, you're probably going to need about 200 yards. If you want an adult size, you know, one skein will be enough for an adult size. I'm certain there's enough there to make an adult size head. And then if you want to do the braids, I also used Red Heart Super Saver, but unfortunately this was in my scrap yarn pile and I don't know what color it was. I'm assuming some type of grass green, but you know, if you do want to make hair, make it any color of green you want. Make it orange, make it yellow, make it red, whatever you want. Just, I'm sorry I don't have a color for you, but it is Red Heart Super Saver that I used. And then, since I used double strands of yarn, I'm going to be using a size N, which is a 9mm crochet hook, and sometimes it's a 10mm. Either one of those will work just fine. But I have 2 strands, and I'm going to make a slip knot with both of those strands. This just makes it thicker, so it stands up a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with a chain of 3. Now I'm going to slip stitch in my first chain to form a ring. And again, I do apologize for the dark yarn. I know that it's hard to see, but like I said, it's a pretty easy pattern. So go ahead and slip stitch in there like that. Now I'm going to chain 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It does not count as anything. So what we're going to do now is work 6 single crochets through the center of that ring. So go right through the ring with your hook and work 6 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, make sure you're getting both strands of yarn at the same time, not losing any of them, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to be working in a continual round, and what that means is I will not be ending my round with a slip stitch. I will just be going around and around and around. Now for that, you'll need a stitch marker. Okay, so I usually use a piece of yarn as a stitch marker. So you want to place that after your last stitch you just made, and it'll be right before your first stitch. So that'll end round 1, and you'll have 6 stitches there. Now don't worry about that hole. We'll take care of that at the end. We'll close it up and it'll be like it never even happened. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump to our next single crochet. So I always count back 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because sometimes on this very first round it's hard to tell the difference between the chain 1 and the single crochet. So go ahead and jump back 6 stitches, and then in that 6th stitch we're going to jump over to it and we're going to put 1 single crochet in it. Now this is round 2. 1 single there, just like that. Now the next stitch we are going to put 2 single crochets into it. So there's 1 and 2. And that's the repeat that we're going to repeat for round 2. 1 single crochet into the next, and then 2 singles into the next. Kind of got to push it down as you go. 1 single into the next, and your last stitch before you get to the stitch marker, you should end in 2 single crochets into that last stitch. You should have a total of 9 stitches at the end of round 2. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and pull our stitch marker up and place it right here at the end of that last stitch. And we're going to go ahead and start round 3. Now round 3 is going to be 1 single crochet in every stitch. So we're not going to be increasing on this round 3. So I'm just going to work around and I'm going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch. And here at the beginning it does like to kind of flip up on you. That's okay, just kind of keep flipping it back out. Eventually it'll stand up right. It'll all turn out in the end. Sometimes things look funny until you finish them. But I'm working around on round 3 and I'm putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get back to my stitch marker. Still working with my 2 pieces of yarn at the same time. Now I have made it back to my stitch marker at the end of round 3, and you should still have a total of 9 stitches. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is pull my stitch marker up and I'm going to start round 4. Now round 4 we are going to put 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches. So you go to the first one and you put 1 single crochet. Go to the next one, you put 1 single crochet. And then the next one will get 2 single crochets into the same stitch. And that's what I'm going to repeat for round 4. 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 single in that one, 1 single into the next one, and then the next one will be 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When we will repeat this all the way around until we get back to our stitch marker. I'm almost there. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the next 2 again. So there's 1 single there, 1 single into the next, and your last stitch should have 2 single crochets in it. That will end around 4, and now you should have a total of 12 single crochets. So now we're going to move our stitch marker up and we're going to go ahead and start round 5. Round 5 is 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I'm just going to work around and I'm going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get back to my stitch marker. So no increasing on this round. I'll go ahead and finish out this round since I'm almost there. And when you get to the end of round 5, you should have a total still of 12 single crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up, and I'm going to start round 6. Round 6 is an increase round. We always increase on the even number of rounds, and on the odd numbers we will not increase. So round 6, we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches this time. So we got 1, go to the next one and put 1, and then the next one put 1. So that was 3 single crochets in a row. And now the next stitch we will put 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and that will be the repeat for round 6. 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 single crochets into the next. And you want to repeat this pattern until you get back to your stitch marker, which I'm almost there. So 1 single into the next 3, and the last stitch before my stitch marker, 2 single crochets into that same stitch. That will end round 6, and now you should have a total of 15 single crochets. You're always increasing by 3 whenever you do your increase rows. So from now on, you're always increasing by 3 whenever you do your increase rows. So every even number row, you will increase by 3. So 15 stitches now. Move your stitch marker up. Now we're going to start round 7. Round 7 is an odd number row. So round 7 is just 1 single crochet in every stitch around. And when you make it back to your stitch marker at the round 7, you still should have 15 stitches. So that's what it's starting to look like. So we're going to move our stitch marker up for round 8. Round 8 is an even row, so it is an increase row. So this time we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches this time. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 2 single crochets into the next. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around. 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, trying to not get my yarn tangled, and 4, and then 2 single crochets into the next. We're going to repeat this until we get around to our stitch marker. So 1 single crochet into the next 4, 2, 3, 4, and then I got 1 more stitch left right before my stitch marker, and it will get 2 single crochets in it. And now at the end of round 8, you should have a total of 18 stitches. Round 9, we're going to go ahead and move our stitch marker up, is an odd round. So on the odd round, we just work 1 single crochet in every stitch. So what I'm going to do for round 9 is I'm just going to work 1 single in every stitch until I get back to my stitch marker. I've made it to the end of round 9 and I have 18 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up, and we're going to start round 10, even number, so increase round. We're going to do 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches this time. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then my next stitch will be 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then I repeat that again, 1 single crochet into the next 5. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and repeat this until you get back to your stitch marker. 1 single into the next 5, and then 1 single crochet into the next, which is my last stitch before the stitch marker, or I'm sorry, 2 single crochets into the next, which is the last stitch before my stitch marker. And now I should have a total of 21 stitches at the end of round 10. So round 11, odd number, we're just going to move our stitch marker up, and we're going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch around until I get back to my starting point. I've come to the end of round 11 and I still have 21 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and move my marker up. We're going to start round 12, which is an increase round. So we are going to do 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then the next stitch we'll put 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and that's what we're going to repeat now for round 12. 1 single crochet into the next 6, two into the next, and 1 single crochet into the next 6 again, you'll have 1 stitch left before your stitch marker, and that'll get 2 stitches in it. So 2 stitches into the last, and now you're going to have a total of 24 stitches. So we're going to go ahead and move our marker up to start round 13, which is an odd round. Odd rounds are always 1 single crochet in every stitch. So round 13, I'm going to work around and put 1 single in every stitch until I get back to my stitch marker. Okay, I've made it to the end of round 13. I still have my 24 stitches, so I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up, and I'm going to start round 14, which is an even number, and that means it's an increase row. I bet you guys are kind of starting to get in the gist of how we increased. It's really rather easy. So last time we increased, we did 6 single crochets, and then we did 2 double crochets in the next. Now this time, for this round, we are going, round 14, we're going to do 7 single crochets in a row. And then 2 single crochets into the next. And that's what we'll repeat all the way around. 7 single crochets in a row. and 2 single crochets in the next. And we want to repeat this until we get back to our stitch marker. I'm coming to the end of round 14. I did my 7 single crochets in a row. And I have 1 stitch left before my stitch marker, and that will get 2 single crochets in it. That'll end round 14, and you should have a total of 27 stitches now at the end of round 14. So we're going to move our stitch marker up. Round 15 is an odd row, so the odd row means no increasing. We just work 1 single crochet for round 15 all the way around until we get back to our stitch marker. Okay, I have made it to the end of round 15. I still have 27 stitches. I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up, and I'm going to start round 16, which is an even number, which means it's an increase row. Our last increase row, we did 7 single crochets in a row, and then we did 2 single crochets in the next. Now on this increase row, we're going to do 8 single crochets in a row, and then 2 singles into the next. So this is how we are going to continue increasing. So you can make this for baby to adult just by increasing in this manner, the same way we've been increasing. Remember, every even number is an increase row, and you always add 1 more single crochet to the increase amount than you did the prior even number. And then every odd number row is just 1 single crochet in every stitch. Every even number row is always increased by 3 stitches. I hope that makes sense, but this is very easy once you get the hang of it. And like I said, you can make this for little baby, or kind of looks like a troll hat. Now, you can make it for your troll outside. You can make it for all child, teen to adult. So I'm going to do 8 in a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 2 singles into the next. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to my stitch marker. All right, I've made it to the end of round 8, and now I should have a total of 30 stitches, 3 more than I did my prior increase round. So I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up, and I'm going to start on row 17, which is an odd number, so it's just 1 single crochet in every stitch. So this is how we're going to keep increasing the hat. It's very easy to do. So once I get done with round 17 here, I will still have my 30 stitches, and then I'll move on to round 18, and then that, since it's even, it'll be an increase row. And since we had 8 single crochets on our prior increase row before we did 2 single crochets, the next increase row will be 9 single crochets in a row before we put 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then we'll do a row of 1 single crochet in every stitch, which will be the odd row, and then the next row will be an increase row, and we'll do 10 single crochets and then 2 single crochets in every stitch. And then the next row will be an odd number row where we just do 1 single crochet in every stitch, and the next row will be an even number where we increase, and we'll do 11 single crochets before we do 11 single crochets, and then we'll do 2 single crochets in every stitch. And we're just going to keep repeating that pattern. Every increase row, every even number row where you increase, you'll always have 3 more stitches than you did the previous increase row. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to keep increasing in the same manner that we were increasing until we reach the size of your head. So whether you're making a baby, a child, a teenager, and an adult, what you want to do is measure the size of your head across the back. Take a tape measure across the back of your head, even, and across the front of your forehead. And you want to take that measurement of the child or yourself, whatever it might be. Now I am making this for my daughter. Now believe it or not, my daughter's 4, almost 5. She has a 20-inch head. Mine's only 21. But, you know, I know children's heads, you know, they're some of them are almost adult size. Anyways, so what I did is I kept increasing. Now, since hers measures 20 inches, I stopped until mine measured about 19 and a half. In between 19 and 20 inches. Somewhere around there, because it will stretch a bit. Probably closer to the 19 and a half. So if you're making it for yourself, say your head measures 23 inches, you'd want to keep going until you measure around the bottom here. You'd want to keep going until you got 22, 20, 22 and a half, 22 and 3/4, something like that, inches. And then we'll put a brim on it. So I have finished my daughter's. Hers measures about 19 and a half inches. And like I said, hers is... She has a 20-inch head. So I'm going to start putting the brim on mine. So I have done a total of 30 rows for mine. I ended on an increase row. I have a total of 51 stitches. Now that's just for my size, my daughter, her 20-inch head. Remember, you have to measure, if you're making it for a baby, you know, it's going to be smaller. Your child might have a smaller or a bigger head, or if you're making it for a man, adult, whatever. Just make the measurement, take the measurement, cut off about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then we start the brim. Okay, so my last row was, I did 15 single crochets in a row, and then the next one was 2 single crochets in the next. So now for the next round, I'm going to do 16 single crochets in a row. And then the next one will be 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Now remember, this is going to start the brim, and you can see how that row is slightly starting to turn up now. So whatever row you're on now, remember, we continue the increase pattern, but we leave out the row where we just do 1 single crochet in every stitch. And now it's just every row is an increase. So this one that I'm on is 16 single crochets, and then 2 single crochets in the next. The next round will be 17 single crochets and 2 single crochets in the next. The next round will be 18 single crochets and 2 single crochets in the next. So I'm eliminating that round where we just did 1 single crochet in every stitch. And that's what you want to do whenever you get to the size, your measurement size, as I told you how to measure. And then that's how you'll do your brim. And you can make your brim for however many rows you want. You just increase in the same manner, leaving out that 1 row of single crochet. Now it's just every row is an increase. Okay, so I have done a total of, for mine, 35 rows. Now you can make your brim as big as you want. It's okay if it's slipping up on you a bit. We'll take care of that. You know, the brim would depend on anything really. If you're making it for an adult, a child, a pumpkin, a scarecrow, a gnome, as I stated earlier, whatever you're making it for, or however big you want your brim, it's up to you. You do however you want. But I'm going to go ahead and stop right now, and I'm going to do one final row. So I'm going to move my stitch marker up, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a single crochet in 4 stitches, and then now this is what you'll want to do on your last row, regardless of how many stitches you have. It doesn't matter. You want to do 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then 2 into the next. Now this should help it where it doesn't flip up. And you'll repeat that all the way around. Remember, regardless of what size you're making, this will be your final round. 1 single crochet into the next 4. And it probably won't turn out equal at the end, and that's fine. And 2 singles into the next. It's okay if it's not equal. At the end, 1 single into the next 4. And 2 singles into the next. Now I'm going to complete this until I get back around to my stitch marker. If I don't end with 2 double crochets, it's fine. Just go ahead and end with whatever you end with. It doesn't have to be equal. Just, I talk and I lose track of how many stitches I did. I can't talk and crochet. But just keep repeating this. 4 singles in a row, and then 2 singles into the next, all the way around until you're back to your stitch marker. Okay, once you make it back around to your stitch marker, I didn't end in an even number. I actually ended in a decrease and then 1 single crochet. That's fine, whatever you end in. Make it back to your stitch marker. Go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch after the stitch marker. And then I always slip stitch one more time into the next stitch. And then we can tie this off. Hide any remaining tails, and you can be done if you want, but if you want to put some hair on it like I'm going to do, take that stitch marker out. I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and hide this tail real quick. Okay, now for the braid, if you decide to do it, what I did is I took my green yarn and I took it and I held it in my hand like this, and I wrapped it around my elbow. I tried to do it in front of the camera, and then back up into my hand again, and I kept wrapping it and wrapping it and wrapping it. I did it 50 times total. You want to make sure you do it the same amount of times for each braid, and you can make it as thick as you want. Now this is what the 50 times around looks like as far as the braid goes, which will hot glue that on, and you can make it longer or shorter, but make sure however many wraps you do the same amount for both braids. Okay, once you get your 50 wraps done, go ahead and clip your tail there. And now you have a circle here. You want to just cut it in half with the dullest scissors on earth. My gosh. I know I have sharper ones somewhere. Oh my gosh, that is embarrassing. Okay, so here's the length of what I'm going to be braiding. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of the green yarn. Remember, you can do yours however thick you want your braid. You just wrap it as many times as you want, and then if you have a long you want it, also you can cut it to your likings. What I'm going to do is just take my green and tie it at the top in a knot a couple times. We're going to be hot gluing it, but this is just, you want to secure it also. So four knots for me, and then clip those just a little bit shorter. Okay, now what I'm going to do is you need to take something heavy. I have a yarn bowl. Let me spin my camera out a little bit, and I'm going to set it right there so it holds it still. And now I'm just going to kind of smooth it out and just do a regular braid. Try to get your pieces equal as you can. You know, they're not going to be perfect, but do the best that you can to get them kind of equal. I just kind of feel them, and yeah, they seem okay. And then, well, this one over here seems a little flimsy. All right, and then you got your 3 pieces. You got something to hold it down, and then you just take it and you just do a basic braid. And this, like I said, this can be however long. Maybe you want braids to the floor. You'd have to do something a lot bigger than winding around your wrist and your elbow, but that would look cool if you did that. Maybe you have a little child, little baby, and you just want tiny braids, or maybe you just want to put like glue on regular pieces of hair and not have braids. It's up to you, or no hair at all. just switch at. But I'm braiding mine, and I'm going to braid it to the same length as my other one. I'm going to count how many braids I did on the other one real quick. And then we'll do the same on this one. Okay, so I'm just kind of holding my braids together to see that I got about the same size. And it looks like I do. So what I'm going to do, or close anyways. Now I'm going to take a piece of my black yarn and make a ribbon. Or if you have real ribbon, you can use that if you want. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to get a longer piece. And tie the bottom in a knot, kind of like we did the top. I still want to hold them together, make sure they stay about the same size. So what I did was tied it in a couple knots like we did at the top. And then I tied a bow. Just for fun. Just a regular tie. If you want to put a piece of, like I said, you could use roll ribbon if you want, or not do this at all. If you want to put a little dab of hot glue there to hold that, that's fine. I'm going to cut these just a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to hold my two pieces together and trim up the excess so they are the same length on the bottom with my dull scissors and my awkward camera position. I make things so hard on myself. There, that's good enough. Never going to be perfect, remember. It's homemade. Not supposed to be perfect. Alright, now we're going to put these on the hat. Okay, I always, like I said, I can never find anything. I can't find my hot glue gun, so I'm going to do this a very unconventional way with the old-fashioned lighter and a glue stick. I probably wouldn't recommend it unless you want to get your hands burnt off. I always burn my hands doing it this way. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do when you can't find the things you're looking for. You decide where you want to put your braids on. You can test it out on your child. But once you find that out, I really recommend the hot glue gun because this is janky. But I think that's just how I roll sometimes. And then I'm going to hot glue it right under the brim. So I'm going to place some hot glue right here. And I'm going to take the part, make sure your ribbons, your braids facing out, and glue these up here. Now, it'll take me a few times to get them all glued. Hot glue guns, like I said, easier. But I guess I just don't have that luxury tonight. I make do. And then you can test it and look at it. And we can clip some of these off once we get it all hot glued so it's not, you know, hanging down or anything. Once you get it how you want it, you want to put it in the same on the same place on the other side so they match up good. Goodness gracious. I'm really feeling like I'm not teaching well using a hot glue gun and a lighter. You ever heard the saying, do as I say, not as I do? That's what this is. Use a hot glue gun. Use the hot glue gun. Don't do it this way. It's not conventional. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to get this all hot glued on, and once I feel it's nice and tight, I'll trim up a little bit of this so it's not hanging below the hat, this extra. And I'll try it on my daughter, see how she looks. So go ahead and get your, if you're doing braids on, or if you're doing strands of hair, you can glue them on too, wherever you want. Alright, I am finished with my hat. So here it is, all finished, all ready to go for my daughter. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I hope that you were able to Follow along, okay? I can't wait to see some of these on Instagram and Facebook that you guys show me. Don't forget, follow me on Instagram. Tag me in what you make. Follow me on Facebook if you can, and make this and show me. I like to see babies wearing it, adults wearing it, cats wearing it, dogs wearing it. It'd be pretty cute. But thanks everybody for watching. Remember, I have hundreds and hundreds of crochet tutorials and lots of yarn content. Don't forget to check out my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, you don't want to miss out. Subscribe, give this video a like for me, please. Thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe.